Hello everyone. Last time we have started with electrolytic cell. In that thing we have learnt about electrolysis of molten NaCl and electrolysis of aqueous NaCl. So now today we are going to start with quantitative aspects of electrolysis. You already know the meaning of electrolysis now. We have seen electrolysis of molten NaCl and electrolysis of aqueous NaCl. Okay, so that breaking of that compound, breaking of that ions is said to be, by the passage of electricity, is said to be electrolysis. Right, now we have to understand the quantitative aspects of that thing. That means we have to understand at the end how much is the product formed. Whatever is forming, how much quantity of the product is formed at the end. So that will deal with the quantitative aspects of electrolysis. Now to understand this, Faraday was the first person or the first scientist to deal with the electrolysis, the concept of electrolysis. Okay, so his first law of electrolysis states that the amount of substance that undergoes oxidation or reduction at each electrode during electrolysis is directly proportional to the amount of electricity that passes through the cell. Okay, so we can understand how much is the mass of reactant consumed or the mass of product formed at an electrode by knowing the stoichiometry of the half cell reaction. Okay, half reaction at the electrode. That means each of the electrode reaction, if we understood, we can find out the masses of the reactant consumed or the masses of the product formed. Hopefully you understood the literal meaning of the first law. Simple, by the passage of electricity, what is going to happen? Electrolysis will take place. Okay, that means the redox reaction will proceed at cathode and at anode. So at anode oxidation will happen, at cathode reduction will happen, right? So at the end, whatever the result we are getting, whatever the amount which is getting deposited at cathode or whatever, okay, the gas which is liberated, everything can be calculated by knowing the stoichiometry of the half reaction at each of the electrode. Okay, so now we'll proceed with the calculation of mass of product. For that, the first step is to calculate the amount or the quantity of electricity passed. Okay, so to find out that, what is the formula given over there? Q is equal to I into T. What is Q? Q is nothing but the electricity passed during electrolysis, the quantity of electricity passed during electrolysis, that is equal to what? I into T. I is nothing but the current into T is nothing but the time in seconds, current in ampere and the time in seconds. So we got the formula as what? Q, the unit for that thing is coulomb, is equal to I into T. Hopefully you understood how to find out the quantity of electricity passed. Okay, second one, we'll understand the calculation of moles of electrons passed. Now for understanding this, okay, so first we'll see the formula. Moles of electrons actually passed is equal to Q, what we got from the first step, divided by 96500 coulomb mole inverse or coulomb per mole. Okay, so if I cancel coulomb and coulomb, I'll get in terms of moles whatever the value is, right? So that means I just have to divide the answer of first step by 96500. Now what is this 96500? That is nothing but called as the Faraday's constant. Now what is Faraday? Faraday is the amount of electricity passed per mole of electrons, Okay, we can say that coulomb is the smallest unit and what Faraday is said to be the bigger unit of charge. Okay, so that's the reason moles of electrons actually passed is calculated by dividing it by the Faraday's constant. So what is Faraday's constant? 965 9650 coulomb per mole. Okay, now third step is to calculate the number of moles of product formed. So what is the formula for this? It is equal to moles of electrons actually passed multiplied by mole ratio. So we have already calculated moles of electrons actually passed from the previous step, right? So now we have to understand what is that mole ratio. Okay, now for a reaction that means the electrode reaction, and that should be a balanced electrode reaction. If we write, so we take one example as Cu2 plus 2 electrons going to Cu. Okay, that means to form 1 mole of copper, how many number of electrons are required over here? 2 electrons are required. So this will help me to calculate the mole ratio. So what is mole ratio equal to? Mole ratio is equal to moles of product formed in the half reaction divided by moles of electrons required in the half reaction. So it is simple. So for the reaction of copper, the mole ratio will be equal to, what is the moles of product? So product, it is 1 mole of copper is formed. So it is 1 upon how many number of electrons or how many moles of electrons are required? 2 moles of electrons are required. So it is divided by 2. So what is the mole ratio for this reaction? It is 1 by 2. So once you know the mole ratio, it is very simple. How can you do it? You just have to multiply it by the factor moles of electrons actually passed. So simplification, you can directly also use this formula, that is moles of product formed is equal to Q upon 96500 into mole ratio, or to simplify further we can say I into T upon 96500 into mole ratio. So you have to by heart this formula. It is very important. Okay. So last step is to calculate the mass of product. So mass of product is equal to moles of product into molar mass of product. So moles of product we have calculated in the previous step. So that multiplied by the molar mass of the product. So if it is copper, I will multiply it by the molar mass of copper. Okay. So for simplification, you can directly use the formula as I into T upon 96500 multiplied by mole ratio multiplied by molar mass of product. So please do learn this formula as well. Okay. So in other case, if two cells containing different electrolytes are there, Faraday has introduced second law of electrolysis. So his second law states that two cells containing different electrolytes are connected in series, then the same quantity of electricity, that is the same number of moles of electrons, are actually passed through them. Okay. According to his second law, the masses of the substance liberated at the electrodes of the two cells are related as given below. So what are they? So the masses of substances produced at the electrode of first cell will be given by, the mass is denoted by W. So for the first cell we write it as 1. So W1 is equal to, same formula we will be using what we have calculated there as there for the mass of product. So what is that formula? W1 is equal to Q upon 96500 into mole ratio into M1. What is M1? Is a molar mass. Okay. Hence I can write it as Q upon 96500 is equal to, I'll take other two terms in the left hand side. So it will be equal to W1 upon mole ratio into M1. Similarly, the mass of substance liberated at the electrode of second cell is W2 in the equation. So what I will write it as, Q upon 96500 is equal to W2 instead of W1 upon mole ratio 2 into M2. Okay. So where M1 and M2 are the molar masses of substances produced at the electrodes of cell 1 and 2. So as Q upon 96500 is same for both W1 and W2, we can write it as W1 upon mole ratio 1 into M1 is equal to W2 upon mole ratio 2 into M2. Okay, so very important formula, you have to by heart this as well. Okay, so we have completed electrolytic cell. Now we'll start with galvanic or voltaic cell. So this we have learned in the previous class. So we have learned the distinguishing points between electrolytic cell and galvanic cell. So hopefully you know the meaning of galvanic cell now. So we'll just revise and afterwards we'll move further. So we know that when we hear galvanic cell, it is chemical energy is converted into electrical energy. So when we say chemical energy converted into electrical energy, that means it is a spontaneous chemical reaction. That means it is a spontaneous chemical reaction which helps to generate electricity. Okay, so first point, electricity is generated through the use of spontaneous chemical reaction. And now as you can see in the diagram, they are made up of two half cells. Each half cells consist of what? A metal strip immersed in the solution of its own ions of known concentration. Okay, next two half cells combine together to form the galvanic cell. Next, metal plates called electrodes are connected through voltmeter, and to complete the circuit, two solutions are connected by salt bridge. Very important, where you can see the labeling of salt bridge. Two beakers are connected by a U tube, that is called as salt bridge. Okay, so now we'll understand the meaning of salt bridge and the functions of it. So before starting with the salt bridge, as you can see in the diagram, there are two beakers and zinc anode and copper cathode is there. So they are called as the metal strip, and the solution is nothing but zinc rod is dipped in zinc sulfate solution and copper cathode is dipped in copper sulfate solution. So these are the two half cells, and these two half cells are connected by a salt bridge. So we are going to learn that thing, and that metal strips are connected by a voltmeter. So now we'll understand about salt bridge. So in a galvanic cell, two solutions are connected by a salt bridge. Okay, now what is that? It is an U tube containing a saturated solution of an inert electrolyte such as KCl or ammonium nitrate and 5% agar solution. Okay, as you can see in the diagram, there is a U tube. Inside that thing, what is there? Saturated KCl solution plus agar solution is there. But it should be allowed to cool down. So how it is prepared? It is prepared by filling a U tube with hot saturated solution of the salt and agar solution, and afterwards it is allowed to cool nicely. So once it is cooled, it will form into gel which does not come out even if the tube is inverted. Okay, so hopefully you understood how salt bridges are made, and when salt bridge is not in use, it is always dipped in the distilled water. Okay, which is very important. One more thing, the saturated solution which is filled in the U tube is an inert electrolyte. Why we are using an inert electrolyte? Because the ions of the electrolyte do not react with the ions of electrode solution or the electrodes, or else the answer of the EMF will be different. Okay, so very important, whatever the saturated solution we are using, it should be what? The inert electrolyte. So that's the reason we are specifically using KCl or ammonium nitrate solution. Okay, so now we will see the functions of salt bridge. First one, it provides an electrical contact between two solutions and thereby completes the electrical circuit. Second point, it prevents mixing of two solutions, which is very important, or else we'll get wrong answer. Third point, it maintains electrical neutrality in both the solution by transfer of ions. Okay, Now we'll see the formulation or short notation of galvanic cell. That means how we can represent the galvanic cell. It is not possible for us to always draw the diagram and show which is the anode, which is the electrode used, or which is the solutions in the galvanic cell. So for simplification, there is cell representation for each of the galvanic cells. Okay, so now we'll learn how to do that. Okay, so before starting with the cell notation, first we'll understand the electrode notation. A single half cell is written in the order aqueous solution of ions first and then the solid electrode. Okay, always the standard method of representing the electrode is, or the half cell is, by writing the aqueous solution first, the ions which is contained in the aqueous solution first, and then its solid electrode. For example, zinc electrode is written as Zn2 plus and showing the concentration as 1 molar, line Zn, and Zn is in the solid state, therefore we represent small s. Okay, so similar way, if it is copper electrode, how can we represent that? It is Cu2 plus slash Cu, and in case of Cu2 plus you will write down whatever the molarity or the concentration it is, and in case of copper you will write down solid. Okay, and that single vertical line between the phase indicates the phase boundary. That means it indicates a direct contact between them. Please understand, there is a direct contact between Zn2 plus ions and Zn solid electrode. Okay, so hopefully you understood how to write down the single half cell. First I am going to write down its ion and then the solid electrode. Okay, now but you know that when we make a cell, it contains anode as well as cathode. So cathode reaction will be same as it is, but the anode will be reversed. Okay, so now we'll just understand the points which we have to keep in mind while writing a cell representation. Okay, so first one, the metal electrodes or the inert electrodes are denoted by vertical lines placed at the end of the formula or the short notation. Okay, that means metal electrodes like copper electrode, that metal strip which we have seen in the diagram, like any of the strip, so that is always represented extreme end of the formula or the short notation. Okay, so the anode is written as negative and it is kept in the extreme left, and cathode will be obviously in the extreme right then. Okay, so these are the rules which we have to understand. As you can see the cell representation down. Okay, there we have taken magnesium as the anode and silver as the cathode. Okay, the cell composed of magnesium anode and silver cathode. So normally if I have to just represent magnesium electrode, I am going to represent it as Mg2 plus slash Mg, where Mg2 plus will be 1 molar and Mg is solid state. Okay, and silver electrode will be represented as Ag plus, that is 1 molar slash Ag S. So this is electrode representation. Now when I want to represent a cell, anode is reversed. That means the way of writing first will be, I have to write down the solid metal electrode first. So I have to write down Mg slash Mg2 plus double slash Ag plus slash Ag. Okay, now second thing what you have to understand is the insoluble species, if there is any. It is not necessary that every cell will have an insoluble species or gas, but if it is having insoluble species or gases, they are placed in the interior position adjacent to the metal electrodes. Okay, now the next thing, in this thing there is no insoluble species as such. Okay, now third one, the aqueous solution of the ions are placed at the middle of the cell formula. See, can you see that the aqueous solution, that is Mg2 plus and Ag plus ions, are kept in the middle. The solid thing is kept extreme and the solution is kept in the middle. Okay, now you can see a single vertical line between Mg and Mg2 plus and between Ag plus and Ag. That means they are having a direct contact between them. Okay, there is a boundary, but there is having a direct contact. That is, metal strip is dipped in Mg2 plus solution. Similarly, Ag strip is dipped in Ag plus solution. Okay, now the double vertical line which you can see in the cell representation is the salt bridge. What is that? That is the salt bridge. That means this two half cell is connected by a salt bridge. So always remember, double vertical arrow means what? Salt bridge. Okay, now the additional information such as concentration of the solution and gas pressure is also given in the cell representation, and it is important to write down. We cannot simply write Mg slash Mg2 plus double slash Ag plus slash Ag. We have to mention in which state it is, right? So Mg last two will be solid state, and between the solution we have to write down its concentration. Okay, so it is not necessary that every time it will be 1 molar. The molarity will change, so we have to specify that concentration. Okay, so hopefully you understood how to represent the galvanic cell. So any of the example if you want to take, you can write down for the galvanic cell. Okay, now where for example I will say Daniell cell. Okay, what is Daniell cell? So how to represent Daniell cell? There zinc and copper is there. What is the combination over there? There zinc as well as copper is there. Now in that thing, zinc is taken as the anode, zinc dipped in Zn2 plus is taken as the anode, and copper dipped in Cu2 plus ions is taken as the cathode. So how can I represent Daniell cell? It will be simple, Zn slash Zn2 plus double slash Cu2 plus slash Cu, and I have to mention that the extreme and what are they? Zn and Cu, they are solid state, and in between the concentration I can write it as 1 molar for now, 1 molar both the things. Okay, so hopefully for Daniell cell it is compulsory that it will be 1 molar solution. Okay, once you know how to represent the cell, now we will understand how to write the cell reaction. So if you are given the cell representation, from that thing you should be able to write down the cell reaction. Okay, so we'll start. So if I consider this cell representation, that is Ni slash Ni2 plus double slash Al3 plus slash Al. This is my cell. Now you know that I write down the anode first and then the cathode. That means which is my anode over here? Ni slash Ni2 plus is my anode and the rest is my cathode. Okay, the molarity is also given for the ions, and extreme end I have written as solid there. Okay, now you know anode, which kind of reaction is there? Oxidation takes place, and at cathode reduction takes place. So I'll write down the oxidation at anode is, so anode will be nickel, right? So you know that oxidation means increase in the number of oxidation state. So if you know the cell representation, it is very easier. You just have to go in that manner itself. So it will be Ni going to Ni2 plus. Now there are 2 plus ions, that means 2 electrons will be removed from that. Okay, so Ni will dissociate into Ni2 plus plus 2 electrons. Okay, and always remember the charges in the product as well as the reactant side should be balanced. Okay, so it will be easier for you to write down how many electrons are removed. If it is 2 plus, then it will be 2 electrons. If it is 3 plus, it will be 3 electrons. Okay, so next, reduction at cathode. So similar way I'll see the cell representation. Al3 plus going to Al, so that is reduction only. So Al3 plus going to Al. Now how many electrons? It is 3 electrons. Where I will write, in the product side or the reactant side, I have to balance the charges. So obviously wherever it is Al3 plus, there I am going to add plus 3 electrons. Okay, so when I see the reaction at the end, the charge is balanced. That means 3 plus 3 electrons is neutral. Al0 is again neutral. Okay, so hopefully you understood how to write down the cell reaction. Okay, and you can also check like that. First case, at anode, Ni going to Ni2 plus. Ni is 0 and Ni2 plus is plus 2. So from 0 to 2, it is increase in the oxidation number, therefore oxidation. Okay, now when you see cathode, it is Al3 plus going to Al. So 3 plus charge going to 0. So it is decrease in the number. 3 plus going to 0 is decrease in the oxidation state. Therefore, it is called as reduction reaction. Okay. Now, when I want to write down the overall cell reaction, so I have to cancel the number of electrons. Now, you can see that at anode there are 2 electrons and at cathode there are 3 electrons. If I have to cancel the number of electrons, I have to make that thing equal. So to make it equal, I have to multiply first equation by 3 and the second equation by 2. Then what will happen? In first case, it will be 3Ni going to 3Ni2 plus 6 electrons. And in case of the second reaction, when I multiply it by 2, it will be 2Al3 plus 6 electrons going to 2Al. Now I'll add both the reaction. So I'll get the overall cell reaction. So when I add, 6 electrons will get cancelled from both the sides. So at the end, I'll get the final cell reaction as 3Ni plus 2Al3 plus going to 3Ni2 plus 2Al. So hopefully you understood this thing. Now next we learn about electrode potential and cell potential. Now we learn electrode potential and cell potential. So as you know, galvanic cell is composed of 2 half cells, each consisting of electronic and electrolytic conductors in contact. Okay, so the potential difference established due to electrode half reaction occurring at the electrode surface is called the electrode potential. So hopefully you understood the potential difference which is between the electrode half reaction occurring at the electrode surface is the electrode potential. So if it is the reaction is oxidation reaction, then we call it as oxidation potential, and if it is reduction reaction, then we call it as reduction potential. So at anode, normally what happens? Oxidation takes place. So there it is oxidation potential, and at cathode it is reduction reaction taking place. Therefore that is called as reduction potential. So what will be cell potential? It will be the overall potential at anode as well as at cathode. So the overall cell potential, also called electromotive force represented by EMF, is the algebraic sum of the electrode potential. So we can say E cell. EMF of the cell, we can also write it as what? E cell is equal to E oxidation plus E reduction. E oxidation is taking place at anode and E reduction is taking place at cathode. Okay. So what is E oxidation? Is the oxidation potential of the anode, and E reduction is the reduction potential of cathode, which is positive, and at anode it will be negative. Okay. So literal meaning is the cell potential is a force that pushes electrons away from anode and carries it to the cathode. So it is very simple. What is cell potential? It is a force that pushes electrons away from anode and pulls towards the cathode, and that electrons are consumed there. So that is said to be cell potential, because the external circuit is completed by the flow of electrons. So that is nothing but the cell potential there. Now we learn about the standard potential. What is standard potential? It is simple. The cell potentials calculated at standard conditions are said to be standard cell potentials. Okay, so the electrode potential and the cell potential depend upon what? The concentration of the solutions, pressure of gases and the temperature. Okay, now why we need this standard cell potential? This is needed to compare different galvanic cells. Okay, so first one, to facilitate comparison of different galvanic cell, it is necessary to measure the cell voltage under given set of standard conditions of concentration and temperature. So the standard conditions are set. What are they? The concentration should be 1 molar. So 1 molar concentration of solution should be there. If pressure for the gases, we take pressure. So there it should be 1 atm pressure, and the solid or the liquid whatever we are using should be in the pure form, and the temperature should be maintained at 25 degrees Celsius. When all these conditions are maintained, then we say it is standard conditions. So the EMF which we calculate at standard conditions are said to be standard EMF of the cell or E naught cell. Okay, so the standard cell potential is the algebraic sum of the standard electrode potential. Okay, so similar formula, if it is simply cell potential, we write it as E cell equal to E oxidation plus E reduction. When it is standard, we just write down E naught cell is equal to E naught oxidation plus E naught reduction. Okay, but according to IUPAC convention, standard potential of an electrode is taken as the standard reduction potential. So in the formula where we have written E naught cell is equal to E naught oxidation plus E naught reduction, there we have to change it as E naught reduction in case of anode. Now for that we have to understand what is the relation between both the things. So for example, if zinc electrode, the oxidation potential is given as 0.76 volt. So if I want to know the reduction potential, that means the standard reduction potential, then the value will be minus 0.76 volt. That means only the sign will change, the magnitude will remain same. Okay, so what will be the formula then? So E naught cell is equal to minus E naught reduction plus E naught reduction of the cathode. Okay, so simply I can say the formula as E naught cell is equal to E naught cathode minus E naught anode, and E cell is equal to E cathode minus E anode. Okay, so now this standard reduction potential is used everywhere. That means when we simply call standard potential of the cell, that means actually the values what we will be using for the calculation, everything will be the standard reduction potential. Why we are using standard reduction potential? Because there is a table called as the electrochemical series where we get the values of the standard reduction potential directly. Okay, so it is easier for the calculation. That's the reason everywhere where we have to write down E oxidation, we normally write it as minus E reduction. Okay, so hopefully you understood this thing. Next class we'll learn about the types of electrodes and the batteries. Okay, so please do learn Nernst equation, everything nicely, and try to learn the cell formulation, how to represent the cell, and how to write down the cell reactions from the cell representation. It is very important. Okay, so okay then, bye.